Okay, we welcome you guys. This is another episode of The Poster Wall. I have my good friend from school, Will, here,
Yo,
all the way from Leatherhead this morning.
2-hour journey.
I felt bad for making him do that, but better than going the ULEZ zone. I want to talk today about the Hunchman Trust. How's it come about? I know your brothers are involved in it heavily.
Yeah. How did it start? Okay, so it kind of started like. So my brother is a ridiculous freak when it comes to.
Which brother?
This is Charlie, my older brother.
Right.
When it comes to he's grown up doing physical challenges. Like, started going to the gym when he was like 16. Hasn't pretty much stopped since then. And then I'd say about a year and a bit ago, similar to what you're sort of doing, but like a year and a bit ago, he came up with this crazy idea of running from my old rugby club, or our old rugby club that my dad was affiliated with as well, to where my dad's ashes were spread in Somerset, which is about 250 kilometres, and he wanted to do that in 5 days, I think. So he had to run 50k a day for 5 days.
Was he originally doing it on his own?
So he came up with the idea and he pitched it to me and Ben. Ben was originally going to do it, but then got injured in the training. I was at uni, getting pissed, enjoying myself. So the idea of sort of training to do that wasn't really not in my top of the list sort of thing to do. Do you know what I mean?
Not your cup of tea.
Yeah, at the time. So he came up with that idea, and then one of my brother's best mates is a middle brother, Ben Chester Allen, who is another trustee of the Hunchman Trust. He was like, fuck it, I'll do it with you. And just sort of grew from there. And then they did the challenge. So they ran 250 kilometres in 5 days. So it was like 50 kilometres a day. And then they cycled back in 2 days.
By the way, this has all been filmed in an amazingly put together documentary. Yeah. It'll be linked in my description. Go check it out. It's honestly, I watched it the other day and it's absolutely incredible.
And you'll see when you watch the documentary, you'll see like we had so much fun. Like me and my brothers will go down and say it was the best week of our life. Like we were camping in the caravan, stopping off, like pitched up tents. They would finish their 50k at like 2:00. We'd go for a beer afterwards. Even though we're running the next day, still go for a beer afterwards. We'd have like good chats, just loving it, like having so many fun stories. Camped at night, woke up the next day at like 6 a.m. Me and Ben were just like making sure Chester and Charlie were all right. Did all the food for them. They'd wake up, stretch, and then next day it would just be like clockwork. Wow. And it was just the best. Like, you'll find it when you do your challenge, the best thing ever. Like you're doing it and you have an achievement at the end, while at the same time having good fun. Do you know what I mean?
A goal to meet.
Yeah, you have a goal to meet. And so that whole challenge happened. I mean, I ended up doing one of the days, so I ran 50k, which was pretty impressive for me, considering I just come off the back of boozing.
That puts it into perspective though. 50k is a mental number to run in 1 day. Never mind 250k over, was it 5 days?
And then afterwards we had a massive party at the Rees Ropes Rugby Club. There was about 250 people came. Celebrate. You'll see it in the documentary. After that, we sort of came to the conclusion that we had so much fun that we wanted to carry on doing it. We wanted to promote what we sort of felt out of that, building that sort of community and stuff like that. We wanted to basically push that even further, and we thought, why not just make it into a charity, raise money at the same time. So the money that they raised for that was originally started off, it's in partnership with Winston's Wish, because we weren't an official charity at this point. What
changes with that? I know you recently you mentioned it and it's recently happened for your charity. But what's the difference now?
So originally it would have been, so we were in affiliation with a charity called Winston's Wish, who had the same sort of ideas of us. It's basically giving support to people that have bereavement, or younger people with bereavement in their families, or just wherever basically. Came to affiliation with that charity, and we would basically do similar to what you were doing. We would raise the money and then we'd give it on to them. But then as soon as you become a charity, people can raise money for you. But I mean, if you want to do it, you go ahead and do it. And you know what I mean? We wanted to create that community of people.
What are some of the things that you've given to already? Like, there's some coming up you just mentioned, but...
So we're a grant giving charity. So what that means is charities come to us, like, because we don't have the facilities to actually, give the counselling or do that sort of stuff. You become a grant giving charity. Say Winston's Wish, the charity that we have done one for, come up to us and say, can we have 20 grand to do one-to-one counselling and stuff like that? We'd be like, look through the application and be like, right, this is perfect. It goes in line with our guidelines in a sense, which are to help younger kids in particular with the bereavement of suicide, basically. And then again, what you're focusing more on the mental health side, it all goes hand in hand. Do you know what I mean? Like, we're building that community of people that's helping their mental health, helping our mental health, everything like that. So like what I was saying earlier, that we've so far given a grant. Our first grant is to Winston's Wish. Again, helping them with hotlines. So I don't know, people that are struggling and need someone to call, there'll be a call line to call. Like emails, if they're dropping an email. And then another example that the money will go towards is one-to-one counselling. So if you have people that are struggling with family members that have committed suicide, they'll have one-to-one counselling in place for them to do for, basically all paid for. The next grant we're looking at is potentially schools coming up to us. So my brother's old school potentially might put in a grant, and that will be for people, younger kids, obviously needing counselling and stuff like that, for family members that have either died or committed suicide. But yeah, it's all those sort of
It's
things.
an unbelievable story, and unbelievable.
So no one's left behind. That's the thing.
That's the motto.
Yeah.
I've seen the connection between you and your brothers, and it's a prime group of lads to sort of set this sort of thing up. And it's such an amazing way to create a space for people to want to do that sort of stuff and raise money, like myself. I mean, it's inspired me. But there's definitely been some amazing candidates that have come to you guys wanting to raise, hopefully like me. I want to share my message. What's some of the best stories that you've heard, or things that people have done to raise money?
We had a guy did an ultramarathon in the Amazon rainforest. This guy called Hugo Leaf.
Wow.
We put it up on our Instagram, basically saying thank you to him. Yeah, he was just like, saw the challenge that Charlie and Chester did and was like, fuck it, I want to do something similar to that. I want to put my body to the test. I want to know how much the mind basically forces you to do stuff. Like, you think about it, your body's 40% of the physical challenge, but you need to find that extra 60% somewhere else.
Yeah.
And that's all in your mind, do you know what I mean? You have all these challenges that come to you, and it's about overcoming them and finding your own way to do it. And you need to create that resilience. Resilience, not the wrong word, I don't know.
Motivation.
Motivation to sort of push through to it. And that's the whole core idea of what we kind of want to do, is we want to create that community. Because that's how we got through what we got through. It wasn't just us that got through it. If I tried to go through that by myself, it would be a completely different story.
Yeah.
And the fact that I had my brothers around me, I had my family, I had my friends, sort of brought us all together. And that community is basically what we want to try and create. But then another challenge that was done was recently we did double marathon. We basically posted it, and we got 25 runners to run from the rugby club again to London, which is a marathon, and the next day run back. And those 25 runners have come together, and again, we still chat, going to the pub on the weekend, next weekend.
Yeah.
They're all wanting to get hunchman tattoos because they've done this challenge, and now they've done the challenge, they've become an official hunchman.
And just out of curiosity, I already know the answer, but how many crossed the finish line?
25.
25 out of 25.
And some of these boys had never run a marathon before in their life. I mean, what's the fact that my brother always says? There's like, I can't remember what percentage of the world has done a marathon, but it's something like 0 point something.
Yeah.
It's like ridiculous. Yeah. And all of those 25 runners have just done 2 in 2 days, which is mental.
That's crazy.
And yeah, some of these runners only run before. One of the boys fucking went out and got pissed on the Saturday because he just had such a high from finishing a marathon. And then he was like, shit, I got to run a marathon the next day. But because they had that community around them, because they had those 25 runners that got on so well, like they were doing runs together.
Yeah.
Like they, even before the challenge even started, they were doing runs and then doing a marathon and then going to the pub afterwards.
This might take away from the fact that they're so close, but literally physically, how close were they when they were crossing the finish line?
So we try, obviously, when you run at your own pace. Like,
yeah,
it's easy to say to someone, can you stop and wait for them? But if they're doing a marathon, especially not the second day, they want to try and get there as quick as possible. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But I think we got people finishing in like groups of 6 or 5, something like that. But then there were 2 runners that finished way earlier than everyone else. But they were just incredible runners. Again,
right.
It's easy to say to someone, can you stop and wait? But when you start running, you get in that zone. You want to get to that line, and you kind of almost a very narrow...
I don't think of it as a zone, I think of it as a rhythm.
Yeah, rhythm,
Especially
that's the word, isn't it? Yeah.
Like, just you get like just cycling definitely when you get into the right gear and you get into like the right,
going smoothly,
Yeah, your
and that
legs
little
just-
thing of someone like, I don't know, someone saying, "Oh, can you stop and wait?"
even mentally, it just No, I believe that is so true, and especially when you're in that rhythm, it's like the fuel of your body is like being put into your legs, like the specific amount of like juice.
I like when I was doing the 50k run that I did, like I'd go through stage, I'd be like, wow, I feel incredible, and I'd be like 30k, and I was like, I've never done 30k, I'd be in uncharted territory, and I'm like, wow, I feel amazing, and then something would happen, and then that last like 5k was like, wow, this is hard.
It's a great feeling. If anyone's interested in trying to go for a bigger than normal achievement in either a cycle, a swim, or a run, get involved. It is a really mentally stimulating thing to do. When is the documentary of the double marathon coming out?
You know what it's like with editing.
Editing times,
It takes a long time to edit stuff, especially with a documentary like that, whereas they had like a lot of hours of footage that they have to search through and stuff like that.
And the standard to keep up to for the 100 and 500 is incredible.
But there isn't really a specific time frame on it.
Right.
Because we're quite good mates with again, goes in line with the whole community thing we're building. We've got these guys in to come film the 100 documentary thing, the 100 and 500, and now we speak to them all the time, like good mates to them, like we chat with them. They come out and party with us after we did the double marathon. Like they'll stay and they'll be like, oh yeah, like it's good fun and stuff like that.
Yeah.
But yeah, like I wouldn't say there's a specific time frame that I would know.
I want to focus more on the next week or two about men's mental health. I think it's much more valid for me to talk about, and I think it's important for my message to get across. And I think the journey I've been through, I can talk more about that side of things, as well as the fact that, like I said in my last video, I have been fortunate enough not to go through anything as dramatic and serious as that in my life. Speaking of, I do want to talk to Will about what's happened in his life, to him and his brothers, but I think I'm going to take it to more of a serious setting. So I'm going to go talk to him somewhere else. Yeah, a bit more dramatic.
I would say first memory of my dad would have been, I don't know, it's a story I always, I mean, I was obviously quite young when it happened, but I'd say first memory of my dad would be going down to Rees Weybridge Rugby Club, playing rugby with him. I don't know, he's a very like laughable character. I've got a lot of stories, but obviously I hear all these stories. God, you put me on the spot here, remembering. I promise he is my dad. The Huntsman Trust sort of started purely out of my dad. I mean, his nickname was Hunch, hence the name, the Huntsman Trust. Not sure why. Could be potentially because he had a hunchback, or I don't know, probably some sort of inside joke with his mates. But yeah, me and my brother started this. So my dad committed suicide in 2010. So I think I was 9 years old at the time. I was at Kingswood House School in Epsom. How I found out was pretty horrific. We were supposed to go, my mum and dad had split up a time, and me and my brother were supposed to go to his house that evening, and he obviously didn't pick up any calls or anything like that, so we stayed there. Mum obviously found out that night and then told us the next morning, and it was just shock. It was more of a, I don't believe you, fuck off, that's not true, blah, blah, blah. Like anger in a sense, which I think is a pretty normal reaction. Yeah, it's obviously tough to talk about, but it's brought, I wouldn't, as weird as it sounds, I wouldn't want it any other way. I mean, obviously I'd love it for him to be there, but obviously you can't change that. So how it's ended with me and my family and how close we are is amazing. Like me and my brothers are more close than I could ever believe. Like they're my best friends. My mum's amazing. Even my stepdad, like how he dealt with the whole thing was incredible. My cousins, like we're close, we see each other every week. Yeah, like I wouldn't think of it any other way. Like it was amazing how it all turned out. And again, I think that links into the whole reason of why we started this charity, is because we want other people to be able to go through what we went through in the way we went through it. Even if it is just going to the pub and saying how you're feeling, do you know what I mean? It's as simple as that. But yeah, that's why we started it. Now I can enjoy raising money for a cause that's so important to us and to my brothers and my mum and stuff, while at the same time having a good time, having a laugh about it, talking about my dad. And I think that's so important because, as I said earlier, if you're not laughing, you're crying. Just have the conversation, and it's just so important to have that.
Now, I want to talk about how stupid I am for doing this. I'm doing 13 days. I'm going to make it 14 because I want a little bit of a day of rest in Paris.
Yeah, have a beer.
Have at least a beer, yeah. Am I an idiot?
I wouldn't call you an idiot. I mean, it's fucking impressive. Do you know what I mean? Like, it's an amazing feat, and but I think you'll love it. I think it'll be one of those things you'll just do, and you'll be like, wow, I'm so addicted. I want to do it again. I mean, it's incredible what you're doing to do that amount of kilometers in that amount of day. I mean, have you ever done a long cycle before?
Most I've done is 103 miles. Yeah. Well, 103 miles. I think 102 kilometers is the longest day that I'm going to do this time. So that's about, 75, 80 miles. And in total, it's 1,100 kilometers, which is about 850 miles.
Yeah, so a lot more.
A lot.
But,
a lot more.
Yeah, I mean, calling you an idiot is one way to look at it, but I think you'll love it, mate. It'd be incredible. It's a crazy, achievement to do mentally and physically. It's so, again, you clearly have the right mindset with the whole thing, how you want to push yourself and everything like that, and you're doing it for the right cause and everything like that. But, mate, you'll love it. And you could say you're an idiot for doing that long a distance, but, mate, you'll find...
I'm either an idiot or I'm brave.
Yeah, brave, yeah, look at it that way. Some people call you an idiot, some people...
Adventurous, I like that.
Adventurous, that's the
That's
word.
a good word.
But, mate, it's going to be incredible. You'll have the best 2 weeks of your life. Like, again, camping, cooking for yourself, have a laugh. I'm sure you bring a speaker.
Headphones, all to myself. I'm going to be in my own head for the whole time. Will's come today with some gifts for me. I've got myself a bucket hat for the evenings.
Some Hunchman socks.
Some Hunchman socks.
High vis as well.
Yeah, exactly.
These are the colours, by the way, hence the reason why it's orange and purple.
And the logo.
And the logo, yeah.
Oh, it's been a pleasure talking about it. Thank you very much for coming on. I'm very happy I'm doing this for you. And,
thank you very much. I mean, again, I'm thanking you on behalf of us as the trustees you're doing for us, and also all the people your money will go towards to helping. Thank you guys so much for watching. All the donation links will be in the description. A big thank you to Will for coming and speaking about everything. And I will see you in the next video when hopefully I'm on a bike. Yeah, over and out. Good luck to Jamie, by the way. Cheers.